Western science used to think that the Earth was flat, and that senses confirmed that. And then we used to think that the sun revolved around the Earth, and our senses told us that because the sun rose in the east, set in the west, and clearly it was moving across the sky. But as we have gone deeper into the nature of the physical world, we found that our senses are not a reliable source of truth about the nature of reality, and we have come to rely less and less on the evidence of our senses, and yet our Western science is still heavily dependent on the evidence of our senses and the instruments that we're able to use to refine our senses, like electron microscopes and so on, to look more deeply at things that we can't see with the naked eye. Some of the things that we used to think about the nature of reality was that the mind was a side effect of electrochemical events in the brain. And now, with the advent of psychoneuroimmunology, which we've talked about when we talked about the model of the interdependence of spirit, mind, and body in that six-pointed star chart, we know that the mind is actually directly influencing every cell, and the nervous system, the brain, is coordinating the reactions. And as we develop that, we also gain greater confidence in the Ayurvedic model of how the mind-body connects. We also used to think that matter could not be destroyed, that matter was indestructible. But Einstein's discovery of the atomic bomb and the equation E equals mc squared has shown that energy can be converted into matter, and that matter is essentially energy in motion. And we also learned from Werner Heisenberg that electrons are so subtle, and this is not the deepest level of matter, because we know there are particles more subtle than electrons. But we tend to compare electrons to like planets revolving around the nuclear sun, like Earth revolving around our sun. And then if we stick to that model, then the electron is like a little ball that's on an orbit tracking around the nucleus. And it turns out that's not exactly how it works, because if it was, we could locate the little ball and determine its speed and predict its location moment to moment, like we can the location of the planet Earth in its orbit around the sun. But we can't do that, because Heisenberg discovered that you can either determine the location of an electron or its speed, but you cannot determine the location and the speed of an electron at the same time. It's called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and what it leads to, the conclusion, is that electrons are not little physical balls orbiting around a nucleus like the sun. And in fact, they're more accurately described as wavicles that have a tendency to exist. Now that's kind of bizarre, but that's the language of physics trying to explain the nature of an electron. So what we end up with as we go deeper into physics is that matter is really a reflection of consciousness stepping down from subtle, actually not vibrating, into the realm of vibration, and then stepping down into denser and denser states, eventually manifesting in the realm of time and space. And yet the matter that is there is is not there. So it just seems to be there, and it looks like it's there, but in a sense, it's really not. It's consciousness in motion. It's a wavicle that tends to exist, comprising the physical reality that we live in. If you look at the nature of an atom itself, it's 99.99% empty space. The part, even of the wavicles that are orbiting around the nucleus of the atom, those tendencies to exist occupy less than 1,000th of a percent of the total space of an atom. In fact, an atom has more empty space in it than our solar system does by comparison. So there's some mind-boggling insights about the nature of reality that come out of pure science these days and are more easily explained in light of philosophical principles than they are in light of scientific principles. This is an area that is controversial, of course, and is yet to be finalized in terms of Western philosophical thinking. But our Western philosophical thinking, in light of current physics, is starting to move towards ancient Ayurvedic philosophies. And that's kind of interesting. So I hope that was a fun taste of physics and philosophy, and I hope this taste gives you an interest in pursuing the whole health coaching program, in which you'll elaborate to a much more deep level than we can in these few minutes of this taste. So good luck, and I hope to see you in the program.